What do you do when your thoughts can create earth tremors and move mountains? That is the question Ruth must face in this thrilling movie. How did she come by this strange power? And how long can she hide it from the world? Hello, and welcome to our channel. Today we'll recap and review an American sci-fi and supernatural movie called Fast Colors. Let's check it out.
For so long I was haunted by the pipes breaking and the walls and the water, but I couldn't remember her face.
The movie starts with a young African-American woman, Ruth, on the run. She seems to have been locked up for a while and tries to get out of her prison. Smashing through wooden barricades, she escapes and runs away in a stolen car with the ropes used in tying her hands still in place. She checks into a rundown motel for the night. The town where this is located is deserted, as it seems to be struck with drought or some other not-so-good phenomenon. Ruth tries to pay for her room and water, but the receptionist goes in briefly to pick up her little daughter. Upon seeing the little girl, Ruth appears shaken. She has flashbacks of incidents about some things that she would rather forget. After paying, she hurries to her room where she cleans up her bloodied wrist and washes her face. She finds a map and traces a location called Garrington. Almost immediately, her hand begins to move uncontrollably. She quickly moves all sharp objects out of the way and calls the motel owner. She tells her to hide her daughter. After dropping the phone, she grabs the post of her bed as she prepares for what is coming. The room begins to shake violently as glasses and objects begin to fall all around in other rooms.
So, how did she know about the earth tremor approaching? Ruth appears to have been through a bit of harm in the past, and she is desperately trying to hide from something or someone who is in hot pursuit of her.
The next day, as emergency services look around for the possible cause of the earthquake, they enter the room where Ruth stayed and find it completely overturned. She has also left the room and is nowhere to be found. Ruth steals a car and heads off in the direction of Garrington.
You know, for a superwoman who can move the earth at will, how hard can it be to simply move the town of Garrington your way? I mean, stealing is definitely beneath you. Ruth, you're better than this.
After driving off, she goes to a diner where a man by the name of Bill strikes up a conversation with her. She appears quite dodgy with her answers when he asks her where she's headed. After he leaves, she finishes her meal and prepares to leave herself, but sees a policeman by the car that she stole. He is taking down her plate number. Bill calls her over as if she is his wife, and she goes with him. On the way, he reveals that he is a scientist and wants to help her. However, Ruth is done playing lab rat and shoots him in the hand when he attempts to inject her before running away from the car. She manages to get to Garrington town, but Bill follows shortly after. She goes to a diner and asks for food, but pays with cleaning up the dishes as she no longer has money. The bartender also allows her to stay in one of the rooms there. The next day, she makes her way to her home, but can't seem to bring herself to walk in. Inside the house, Bo, her mother, and Lila, her daughter, are seen doing some chores. Lila has an unusual ability to put things together. After the chores, Bo steps out to smoke. She dematerializes her cigarette and forms it back again, revealing that she also has unique powers. Of course, this also reveals that she just signed a pact with lung cancer or some other cigarette smoking disease, because there is no way this woman is ever running out of cigarettes to smoke. Ruth startles her, and from their discussion, it is obvious that Ruth ran away from home and asked her mother to forget about her. Their interaction is strained and not very comfortable. Bo is concerned about Lila, and she keeps Ruth in a separate building from theirs. There's also some history of near harm between Ruth and Lila. That night, as Lila sleeps, there's a tremor, thanks to Ruth and her earth-moving abilities. Bo takes her to meet Ruth that same night. Bill, who is clearly obsessed with finding Ruth, searches her bag she left in his car after escaping. He gets called by a man who is also searching for her, and they leave to continue their search.
The inquisitive nature of science can be both a blessing and a curse. And it might be a good idea to sometimes accept the fact that not everything can be explained by science. The world, and indeed the universe, is so vast that it would be foolhardy to conclude that a test tube and some chemical compounds can solve everything.
Meanwhile, Ruth begins to bond with her daughter, who has a unique ability to put together damaged and broken things. She also sees colors she refers to as after effects after the objects are fixed. Meanwhile, there's a local sheriff, Ellis, who saw Bill's abandoned car on the road and has been investigating the incident leading to the damaged car. He gets to his office one morning and finds out that Bill and his partner, pretending to be investigators, have moved critical evidence that is to be used for the investigation. Bo continues to try and help Ruth, whose abilities seem quite destructive, but she doesn't make any significant progress. She finally tells Ruth about the family book, where it's revealed that the abilities the three women share are generational.
So you see, Ruth, you are not allowed to drop the ball during your time here. Harness those gifts as soon as possible and get to saving the Earth, not just moving it around at the drop of a hat.
One day, Lila asks for some tools to fix an old rundown truck, and Bo decides to go with her to a hardware store. When they leave, the telephone in the car rings, but Ruth ignores it. When they get to the store, Lila goes looking around for the hardware she needs, but bumps into Bill and his partner before leaving. Back at home, Ruth seems to be getting a grasp of her paper when she uses her power to turn on the water mill and even begins to form a cloud. However, she is unaware of what she just did, and Bo calls out to her to help them with the water they got from the store. Lila goes to her room and uses sand from the store to create other materials.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Did she just steal those? She deconstructed them and then reassembled them once she got home? Wow.
We're not superheroes, Lila. We're just trying to get by.
But what if there's more?
Trust me, there's not.
Ruth informs Bo about the phone call. Bo plays the empty message and counts the number of seconds before the phone disconnects. Clearly there was a message there even without the caller saying anything. It turns out the caller is Ellis, the cop. He asks if Ruth had told Bo about her encounter with Bill. Bo is upset with Ruth for hiding the information from her and confronts her. As her temper cools off the next day, she tells Ruth a story about her father, who is none other than Ellis, the local sheriff. Bill and his partner, together with a powerful set of people that are tracking them, are closing in. One day after Lila finally fixes the truck, Bo sees the new tools and confronts her for illegally obtaining them. As she rebukes her, Ellis arrives to inform Bo and Ruth that Bill and his men are coming after her. He asks that she leaves the town immediately. Lila finally realizes that Ellis is her grandfather. She leaves in anger because he abandoned them. Ruth also leaves, leaving Lila behind again.
There are strange and recurrent patterns in the lives of these three women. Although they span 3 generations, they keep repeating the same exact pattern: the quest for freedom, pregnancy, and then abandoning of the child. Sometimes breaking a generational chain of events requires a person to step back and, against all odds, chart a new course of events. Who will be strong enough to chart this course for these 3 women?
On the way, her truck runs out of gas and she stops to fill up a can. Suddenly, she drops the can and runs to an open field to allow the tremor to pass. She also has recollections of a terrible incident where she flooded her room, almost drowning Lila. As the shaking passes, she notices that there are droplets of water and that she can finally see the beautiful hue of colors for the first time in her life. She has finally learned how to control her abilities. Excited, she drives right back to Bo's residence, but finds the house overturned and empty. She goes to Ellis's house and he tells her that Bill and his men have taken Lila. It turns out that she demonstrated her powers before them so they could stop looking for her mother, but the men were probably stronger than whatever spell she cast at them. Of course, for matters like hers, that border on national security and the good of mankind, Ellis is unable to do anything about her arrest or kidnap. Ruth drives to the police station where Lila is being held and conjures a rainfall.
All right, somebody get the application form for Ruth so she can sign up for the X-Men. Storm, you're out of there. Ruth, you're in. And if you don't find an opening on that team, then we can gladly assign you the waterbender offer. It's still open.
Bill and his men come out in surprise. They are shocked by the downpour, something that has not happened in 8 years. When they see Ruth, they pull out their guns to arrest her. With a stare, Bo turns their guns into dust. Bo offers herself to Bill and his men. She asks that they take her instead of Ruth or her grandchild. She also uses her power to free Lila, who runs to her mother as they both escape. As the movie ends, Lila hands over a note to her mom in the car. It reads that there are others like them and encourages them to freely use their powers.
Give this to your mother.
She came back?
For you.
This underrated story is a must-watch for anyone who enjoys a great movie. Although it didn't do so well at the box office, no one can take away the fact that this is a powerful story of self-discovery and growing up to deploy your greatest abilities. If you enjoy inspiring movies and can understand movies with a layer or two of deeper meaning, then you do need to see this one. It will be worth your time. Please subscribe to our channel to be notified when we upload. And also don't forget to suggest movies that you want us to recap in the future in the comments down below.